I have a quick disclaimer for the beginning of the video. This is an impressions of the Demon's Souls remake so far. I'm about 1.5 hours into the game and have killed the first boss and completed the first section of the Boletarian Palace. All the gameplay I will show will only be from the first hour. I'm doing this to spoil as little as possible, because while many players have played Demon's Souls before, I suspect there will be more newcomers than returning players. If you want to know right now if Demon's Souls is worth your time, I can confidently say it is and deserves to be in every player's PlayStation 5 library. Let's give a quick rundown on what Demon's Souls is for anyone that is unaware of the Souls genre so far. Demon's Souls is an action RPG which is broadly known for its punishing difficulty. Many players will say the most satisfying and rewarding part of the gameplay is struggling in a specific area or on a boss and trying over and over again to overcome the obstacles and move forward. This is what got me into the franchise with Dark Souls 1 and got me hooked onto the Souls genre. The most basic gameplay loop example is at the beginning of a level you'll spawn in at some type of checkpoint. In Demon's Souls, these are swords stuck in the ground, but every Souls game has a different version of said checkpoint. For all intents and purposes, these are save points. So you're at a checkpoint, you look forward, and you see where you need to go. You run through the level in front of you, fighting enemies, picking up items, and finding secrets. Throughout the level, you'll also find shortcuts which will lead back to earlier parts of the level. Then once you've made it to the end, you'll have to fight a boss, which are typically the hardest enemies in the game and can take multiple goes on your first time through. Kill the boss and you'll get a new checkpoint. You can now venture forward again to a new level with new enemies. That was a lot of preamble, so let's get down to my early impressions. Firstly, I'll go in order of what you'll experience when you play Demon's Souls. When the first cutscene starts, you'll notice it's beautifully recreated from the original and quickly shows the massively improved graphics and sound design. These cutscenes are incredibly detailed and are so entertaining to watch. They really set the bar high for what the visuals, sound, and music will be like in gameplay. After you've watched the introductory cutscene, you'll begin in the character creator. Firstly, you'll pick the class you want to play as. For my first run through, I just chose the basic knight because it's the most simple class. For anyone that has played the original, this will stick out like a sore thumb. This creator is so detailed and amazing, it looks like it belongs to another game. Not in a bad way though. Souls games to me have always had awkward looking characters, and the creation tools have always left a little bit to be desired. As you can see, there are a bunch of presets you can choose from, or if you want to create your character from scratch, there is no shortage of options. Once your character is created, another brief cutscene will play. This cutscene is one of the many times Demon's Souls uses a cool looking 2.5D style instead of the traditional 3D style. Now it's finally time for gameplay. The tutorial lasts roughly 10 to 15 minutes and gives players a good amount of time to get comfortable with the controls. Like the original, there are messages on the ground which are used to inform the player of the controls. Right now, at the beginning, the game is striking, not only visually, but the sound of the world and the music is amazing. And when you take your first steps, you'll feel the new haptic feedback in the DualSense 5. This controller is the best thing about the PS5 and not something to be overlooked. Continuing forward, the tutorial area works well for newcomers. Nothing about it is overwhelming, and if the player has chosen a class with a good shield, they shouldn't have any issues at all. The game does a great job showing the player that most of the fights will be basic 1 vs 1s, and occasionally they'll have to deal with multiple enemies at once or some type of hazard, such as an archer shooting you off screen. Because I've played and finished all of the Souls games many times, I thought I'd be smart and try and beat the Vanguard on my first go. As you can see, this didn't exactly go how I wanted it to. He's a lot tougher than I remember. Okay, that's the tutorial done and the basics of the combat out of the way. Now we're in the Nexus. This is the game's hub. It's where you'll upgrade your character, weapons, armor, learn magic, and miracles. For anyone that has played the other Souls games but not Demon's Souls, this is the equivalent of the Hunter's Dream from Bloodborne or Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 3. This is also where you'll teleport to each of the 5 Archstones. These Archstones are the worlds of Demon's Souls. The game will not so subtly point you towards the Covetous King's Archstone, which leads to the Boletarian Palace. The Boletarian Palace is a perfect beginning area. It slowly introduces everything you'll have to deal with throughout the game. You see your checkpoint at the beginning of the level and a path forward. There's enemies in front of you. To begin with, it's 1 vs 1, and sometimes they're waiting behind stuff to ambush you. Be aware at all times. Then suddenly, it's now multiple enemies attacking you at once. Deal with those guys, and now if you're curious, you'll run around a corner instead of going up the stairs. This time, it's 2 basic enemies running at you with an archer shooting at you. But there's also a hole in the ground to watch out for. Finish those enemies off and you can backtrack and head up the stairs. The map is starting to feel a little bit like a maze. This is the foundation the rest of the game is built upon. Remember all the lessons you've been taught so far and you'll do great. A lot of what I've said so far has been for new players, but now let's talk about the combat and comparing it to the other Souls games. When I saw that Demon's Souls was getting a remake, my first thought was, how are they going to address the combat? Will it be the same as the original? But that'll feel dated. Will they update it to be a lot quicker like Dark Souls 3? But that'll require all the enemies to be completely updated if you're now a lot faster than them. What Bluepoint has done though, is kept the original timing the same, but updated all the animations and added little quality of life improvements like omnidirectional rolling instead of the basic 4-directional rolling. They've also completely redone and updated the sound design along with the addition of the incredible DualSense 5 controller. This combat feels completely new and reinvented. If you've played Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne or Sekiro and gone back to the older Souls games, it can be extremely jarring with how clunky and slow everything feels. This is something Bluepoint has managed to escape, because while the combat is slow, it feels anything but clunky. Everything feels so tight and realistic. So that's everything so far from me. That was probably a really long impressions video, but I had to gush about the game a little bit. I'm loving it. I also wanted to make this video feel inviting for new players, so they can get an understanding of what Demon's Souls is. I recommend that if and when you pick up a PlayStation 5, you add Demon's Souls to your games library. I'm going to keep playing it now. Thanks for watching.